Okay, so this came up, and Jay-Z's effort to dismiss rape case from judge, then 13-year-old accuser denied by the judge. Okay, so I have my opinions on what I've seen so far in the case, but I believe that everybody should be heard, and they could present something to us that would change our opinions, and that isn't that what that's all supposed to be about? So I just find it curious that a team would go to this extent to go after a case that, you know, on its face, it just seems kind of like, yeah. So basically, it would just go through and then they don't do anything and that's it and let it be done. But they're definitely hiding stuff. Because when we went down that rabbit hole, he definitely has some stuff with some minors, and I was like, yeah, that's interesting. So regardless of what happens here, there definitely is some other stuff going on, and we'll see if they present or if any other information comes out that could sway our opinion. The thing with brain injuries and things like that, as I was trying to say, it could be, that they think something happened and it didn't happen. But also, like, it could be like portions of it are true and another portion's not. But we need more information on that. It's like when they present the case and they'll explain, oh, the injury that they have causes XYZ, and then they give some, like, things about it. But anyways, they should be heard anyway. So anyway, they denied this thing and they just went full blown out on this person. I don't like it because let's say you take the stance of it's not true, right? The victim here, the alleged victim, the person that's making the claim, definitely has some issues. So, but we're going to be dragging just people with disabilities forever or something. I mean, I don't know. It's just a lot of this conduct in here. There's a couple things I wanted to point out because also I'm reading lawyers saying keep your mouth shut, be a gangbanger, and don't snitch. And gee, I wonder, that's been an issue, hasn't it? Like nobody really should be going on like that. Honesty is always the best policy because at the end of the day, the truth is going to come out and then you're going to look even more shady because you didn't say something or you made up a lie somewhere else, and it just doesn't help your credibility, right? I would rather be credible, and if something happens and something happens, but you'll fight it, the truth eventually comes out. That's just my philosophy in life. But there's some really filthy lawyers out here, and I've been around them for a long time. It's like I've been around them for a long time. So, yes, a lot of sexual misconduct, touchy, doing crazy, crazy, crazy stuff. And every agency known to man has covered up for terrible cops and attorneys and lawyers and the DA's office and everything else. And there's a reason why this is all going on. So I already knew that much. So I was like, well, I'm going to go. Well, I figured it out as we're going along because I'm like, okay, so I know this happened with this group of people. So I'm going to go to them and, report their conduct. And then, oh, boom, they cover them up, right? Okay, so then I go to another agency, tell them about it, boom, cover it up. Okay, yesterday somebody asked me on the phone, did you go to the cops? They go, oh, yeah, by the way, I did. And then I tried to get them investigated, and I started saying this thing that they were helping them out, and they hung up on me. Yeah, and so now I'm trying to get them to call me back so I could get some names. Oh, yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. There's other stuff going on. It's crazy. And I was like, I'm going to just lose my mind. Yesterday, it was just throughout Christmas to yesterday. And I'm like, I'm tired of it. So I got some names, which was good because I'm really good at what I do. I was like, I'm really good at what I do. I guess the playing the dumb route like works really good. Okay, so in this particular case here, he's losing, at least on this portion. Now, I don't know what's going to happen at the end of the day of this case because you still have to like convince people. So I don't know what they're going to do with it. So they try to like squash this whole thing, and then he denies the accusations. Okay, fine, we hear you denying it. I don't know why you have to keep going on about it. Okay, so in an order filed Thursday, and Elisa Torres penned a scathing decision condemning Carter's lawyers' aggressive tactics in moving to dismiss the case. Yeah, I mean, their conduct is so bad that you have to question what's in this case that you have to go to that extent? And, mostly over bogus lawsuits. We all get them. I got them. And it's just like, I don't know what they're trying to do, but I'm just going to show up and the judge is going to figure it out. And, and it's just that, right? These guys went way to the extent of how much can I do without breaking the law to where I'm kind of breaking the law. Some of the tactics, as an investigator, I guess you could go up to somebody's house and say you're with the state of Texas and then flash a badge and say you're an employee. You can, I guess, as long as you're not saying that you're FBI. You could make yourself look like FBI. You could insinuate it, I guess, but you're playing with some crap there. But we see this conduct going on. Even in Dr. Dre's case, it was pulled up, and I go, I want to see this. I want to see this. So both parties, so I was like, wow, the conduct that they're doing is so crazy. But I guess it's on the lines of passable, but it probably shouldn't be. It's kind of that thing. And it's kind of abnormal, but if they're trying to obtain information from people, I don't like it. I think it's unethical. There's a lot to it, but I suppose, but I was making a joke. I thought, oh yeah, I could say I'm with the state of California because I live in California, right? And I'm just going to go up to your house and go, I'm with the state of California, flash a badge, and it could be any type of badge, my own for my business. And, I'm an employee. You could just say, and I'm an employee, but you're not saying you're an employee of them, but you're insinuating it, but not really, You could, that's a game, but you could kind of F around with it. You have to be really sharp because you could say things that make it sound like it, but you're not actually saying that, and then they're going to trick you. So that's what's going on there. And then them going after the lawyer himself. And even if he is bad, they're trying to turn it to a circus between men and take the focus off of actual victims or victims in the case. And men continually do this crap. And so regardless, again, of my opinion, any of that, the conduct is atrocious. Carter's lawyer's relentless filing of combative motions containing inflammatory language and ad hominem attacks is inappropriate, a waste of judicial resources, and a tactic unlikely to benefit his client. Yeah, it's making him just seem like the worst human in the world. And he probably is. The court will not fast-track the judicial process merely because counsel demands it. Earlier this month, Doe filed an amendment lawsuit that was initially filed in October accusing Diddy, all that stuff. Carter has denied the claims, noted inconsistencies in Doe's story, yes, which she admitted to in a recent interview, yes, while still standing by her rape allegations against Carter and Combs. Okay, so it's on their team to prove that happened. At least to prove, to make this claim even remotely credible, they better have something to show she was even there. Because, it's just sort of like, when you already have something that's like way off in the case, then it makes it even harder to believe it. And this is just even for the general population. I can't tell you what is going to be in that. But it's not like when they were talking on the interview, it could even tell us any of that. It's just telling me like, okay, well, I could totally buy that her father didn't know where she was for 5 hours. Totally. Some people can't. And they were trying to say something from that. I go, oh no, I could think of a million, scenarios for that to happen. To mix up people, it's a per person basis as to why you would mix that up. Like they need to come up with the reason why they would ever mix that up. If I mix it up, it would make sense because holy crap. I met so many people and I was at so many shows, and one of them I was actually backstage and I was at a show where some other people were that I don't even remember. And it's Yeah, that definitely could happen. So I was kind of like, okay, but she's not me. Okay, so this is me, but she's not me. So I need to figure out why that would be. But that's for a later thing. Like that would be for them explaining some stuff. So they would have to present that to me to make me, go with that. Relying on those inconsistencies, Carter's lawyer took the unusual step of asking the judge for an expedited dismissal on the grounds that the case is frivolous and unfounded. They sound like cops. Okay, so cops have notoriously done this kind of crap, and even when they have all the evidence that they're guilty as hell. So I don't like the word unfounded. I just don't, because it just means that we're a bunch of dickwads and we're just going to pass this off and think that we're fine raping everybody and sexually abusing women. That's been a consistent thing with these departments, and I've been trying to go at it for forever, okay? Joe is represented by Houston-based attorney Tony, who has said he is representing at least 120 accusers. So that's not like the only person he's representing. I would say that's the lowest effed up case. If that case is true, that is, I mean, you're literally taking advantage of someone with autism and has a brain injury, and she's a kid. That's one of the lower ones in here, and maybe that's why they put it forward first or something, but I don't know. But Carter's attorney, Alex, has taken aim at Busby, accusing him of extorting his famous client. And then that's already been said that he's not, because this is typical conduct between lawyers when they talk, because they want to settle the case, because they'll start complaining. I'll tell you what they complain about. The lawyers will start complaining about having to pay everybody to go into court. They don't want to, because that's just more money out of their own pocket. And they just want to settle and get the money and be done with the case. Because that's the easiest route out of this. Nobody actually wants to go to court because there's a lot of cost in court cost. Yeah, there's a lot. So like in my one case, just for the housing, it would have entailed trying to get the doctor to come in. Then they have to pay the doctor, right? Then they have to pay, like if I could pull the gas man that came in, he's like part of the case. If I could pull him in, then we have to pay him to come in. Then you have to pay all the people that are, witnesses or part of the case. Like you have to take time to try to get them. And then it's just a nightmare of a process. But I was willing to do it. And whatever it took just for the point of the case. But there's a lot of things in that. So my lawyer was definitely a shady one. There was a lot of bad conduct there. So, but that was definitely the discussion, because it was like, that's going to cost a lot of money. And I was like, yeah, of course it is, but let's do it. Because you charge more, right? You go after more money. In the judge's order, she condemns Spiro for making such accusations against Busby. Since Carter's attorney first appeared in this case 17 days ago, he has submitted a litany of letters and motions attempting to impugn the characters of the plaintiff's lawyer, many of them expounding on the purported urgency of the case. I guess because now it's like not acceptable to go just trash women to hell. They're like, you know what? We'll just go after the lawyer. We're just going to shift our piece of shit brain and go after the lawyer. It's just men. They're just disgusting going on here. It's all about them. And them trying to make a shit show and attention for themselves. Although Carter's attorney assailed plaintiff's lawyer as having a chronic inability to follow the rules, Carter's counsel has failed to abide by the court's clear rules. And he's the bazillionaire. He can't even get a good lawyer. Okay, Busby told CNN via email on Thursday, the coordinated and desperate efforts to attack me as counsel for alleged victims are falling flat. Yeah, it looks bad. Like, even if all this stuff's true, because it might be, who knows? It just looks terrible. I mean, from the other side, yeah, it looks really bad. In her decision to grant Joe's motion to proceed anonymously, the weight of the factors tipped in favor, allowing plaintiff to remain anonymous, at least for this stage of the litigation. This decision could change because the balance of these factors will certainly shift as the case proceeds, especially if and when the parties engage in discovery in earnest. The court intends to revisit this decision at a future date. Okay. The judge ordered explain the factors in granting Joe to be able to proceed anonymously include the allegations concerning sexual assault are highly sensitive. Given that Joe's alleged that Combs and Carter drugged and raped her when she was only 13, as well as Busby's assertion that many of his other clients who have filed similar lawsuits against Sean Combs claim to have been threatened by Combs for their decision to speak out. Can anybody tell me what perpetrator out here hasn't made some types of threats or have at least not done any types of threats? As you guys see, I'm pretty vindicated from the new news story that came out with the Depp bullshit. Thank you. And I told the media, I even did a thing titled to the media, conduct. So I'm just going to sit here and say, I told you so. I told you so. But they've been doing that for 20 some odd years. That conduct right there. The initial beginning of that. Here, I'll finish off this paragraph. Representatives for Combs declined to comment on the judge's decision, but previously issued Joe's case. This amended complaint and the recent extortion lawsuit against Busby exposes his barrage of lawsuits against Mr. Combs for what they are. Shamelessly publicity. Yeah, they're calling it publicity stunts, trying to get payment. Okay, lies about him. Lies have been spread about Combs, and we know those aren't lies. Okay, so speaking to reporters earlier this month, they say it's all a fantasy. We expect the case to be dismissed. If it's not, we expect this to all crumble. Okay, fine, but why all the rest of it? The shit show, right? If it's made up, I wouldn't call it a fantasy. This is wrong. If she has a brain injury and some other things, it's not a fantasy. It's sort of delusional type of thing. But they need to properly go at that stuff. And when they present these things, when they go, oh, women like, well, we're not all having brain injuries, okay? And we're not all sociopaths that would just lie because, we all want $100 million, okay? So this is not what's actually going on. I'm noticing in all these cases that they keep pointing out with anybody that did any of that, they have mental health issues. So that's actually an overall problem. But even in those cases, it's a very tiny portion to the mental health issues to all you rapist men out here. You all have personality disorders. Acting like this is a personality disorder. It's part of a personality disorder. Part of. So they definitely would have narcissists, PD of some sort to be doing this type of conduct. So when we're going through all these cases, they go, oh yeah, so the rapist is always chronically going to lie. Almost 99% of the time they're going to lie. So nobody's focused on that. But they'll go, oh, this case from 2006 that was like a bazillion years ago, and then bring up some black woman that's like definitely off kilter, but at the same time, it's like teed off because these guys are such pieces of shit. And it's like, am I supposed to feel bad about this, about a woman lying on 3 guys when America has promoted rape on our gender the entire time and have been lying about it in court? All of them. And trying to blame children for them raping kids and things like that. So I'm like, I'm not really bothered by that case, let me tell you. That's just the honest truth of it. Should it happen? No, but am I supposed to, like, the world stop because a woman did that? The rest of these are like 100% of these guys. So I'm just like, yeah, I don't know. They're trying to make a point that's not, hitting anything. But they had to really go back to the past. Let me find a case. It's like, oh, right now I could just pull up the news and here's you guys raping everybody every day, all day long. No one's lying, So, yeah, it's like, regardless, there were some cases that actually, oh God, there was a pastor one where he got off and everybody's just like, he's still guilty. It doesn't mean that he's not, and yada, yada. I go, yeah, the cases, when you bring those cases to a jury, the truth you don't get the truth out of that most of the time. So, yeah, I was like, why would anybody do that? So, yeah, they've been guilty. They said, did you see his background? There was a lot to it. There's a lot to those cases, but that doesn't mean that they're not guilty. It's just the public is such a rapist. And they look at people like Jeff, they're like, he's so hot. He's so nice. I go, but that's exactly what a sociopath is half the time. So, yeah. I don't know. It's like, they miss it. Like, the nice guy is not the socio. I go, yeah, that's the socio. Not that not all nice men are socios, but the socio typically will present itself as a nice guy because they're manipulators. And in order to manipulate, well, being really shitty doesn't really get them anywhere, right? But sometimes they are outright shitty all the time. So it just depends who we're talking about. Yeah, so his people went on a smear campaign. They went and took me down. But they're in concert with the other people because they're working together. So I was trying to explain that whole game right there, which I exposed, oh God, in 2001. But it's just like, does anybody listen? I don't know. They were Stern's people, though. They were Howard Stern's people. And, Stern's a bazillionaire, too. So all his friends are a bunch of, like, assholes that go after women. And I was like, yeah, that's all he relates to. They can all sit in their narcissist room together and relate to each other. I'm like, I don't know who the hell is going to sit there and befriend somebody that is literally out in the open saying they tried to rape a transgender and then threaten them. And then literally post all these things that he went after women, young girls. And the pass off on that, his head doctor didn't help him out none. So yeah, no, he's not fixed. I was saying he's not fixed. I go, but then again, look at all the people he's hanging with. I go, Bill Maher? Bill Maher is the worst out here. He's like, consent ruins my rapist vibe. I'm like, wow, that guy has to have allegations. Like, I don't know anybody that's outright just going, I mean, we know a lot of people who are outright saying this stuff, but the people that are outright saying this stuff have allegations. Because they're saying, I don't believe in consent. It ruins me feeling I need to be a rapist. That's what he's saying. And so I called it out. And then all this bullshit's happening, right? So I was like, yeah, he's not different than Trump. It's funny that they fight because they're both like just outright, we don't believe in consent. And for some reason, women want to take political sides on that. I go, they're the same guy. They just have different points of view of politics, but F politics. But they're the same human, inside. And I go, yeah, they all have this problem. So I started comparing some other people together, and oh boy, did those people have an issue. Eminem's no different than a Jay-Z, so I don't know what the fuck, It's like they all have the same traits. They just don't like each other. It's just that. It's just they don't get along with each other for different reasons, be political, whatever. But they deep down have the same disgusting issues about women, and it's not an attitude. They have a disorder. You can't fix it by saying treat women nice. Like they're doing it on purpose. It's a deep issue that they would need to continually go to like fucking therapy for till the day they die. Like it isn't curable. That's the thing. So I was like, yeah, I mean, we could sit here all day and go, you, and they're doing this. And you have to get past, I was saying this. So I was like, oh, good luck getting past the narcissist part of them. Because the narcissist part of them keeps them being such a dickwad that thinks they know it all. And so you can't get through that wall right there. So I go, yeah, that's a disorder. So, I go, also pay attention to the comment section, how they're speaking, because you'll find the narcissist right away. It's the guy or woman that's going, if you're going to ruin a man's career, blah, 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 that person. Okay, so you will never see them say, if a man's going to ruin a woman's reputation, and I was saying, if you could find that comment, please point it to me, because never in the years I have gone through these cases have I ever read that. Not even from other women. It's just me talking about it. I was like, could anybody care about our careers? You know what I mean? Like, you'll see something like that. And maybe there's a few other women out here talk about themselves in that way, but you don't read that type of comment where the general population is like, these men keep ruining women's lives. No, it's like, if you're going to ruin a man's career and life, it's that. I go, that's a narcissist. So to try to get through to that, oh, you need a professional. You need a professional. Or somebody listening to me getting all pissed off and then having a baby fit. But you need a professional to deal with that problem. So you're not going to get through to telling them how you think is bad, you know? Because that entails a professional. Like it entails a professional that deals and specializes with that problem right there. Oh my God. I was like, yeah, good luck with that. And it was crazy because the case that they were talking about for the attitude problem is the case in Paris. But the case in Paris, the main perpetrator is equal to Ted Bundy, who is a psychopath. I don't know exactly all the things that they, think he was, but definitely on the spectrum of, being a sociopath, psychopath, ASPD, all those things. The guy in the case is also that. So regardless if anybody's homicidal or not, that's the only differentiating thing between a Ted Bundy and somebody who's a serial rapist. Now, they actually think that guy killed somebody in the earlier days. And I go, oh, that wouldn't surprise me, because maybe he did and he found out he didn't get the thrill that he liked when he did it. That can happen. We don't talk about much on that, on those type of cases, but they kind of do sometimes when they're like talking about when the serial killer kind of cools off. And then sometimes, he'll kind of grow out of doing all his killings. Like, he just no longer gets the thrill out of it. Like, something like that. Yeah, that it could fall into that. And the men in it that participated are the same. Maybe just not as high on the spectrum as that guy, but definitely they're the same. I mean, the same evil. So it's how they view women. And their narcissism is the thing that's making them think that they're above women. It's just ridiculous. But that is a disorder, and they need to call it out for what it is. It's not an attitude problem. It is a mindset, but it's not like, I have this bad attitude towards women and you could just tell me to treat them better. And no. It's worse. It's worse. And they're also void of empathy because when they were raising them, wasn't developed. So I can't make somebody care when they have no soul, okay? They have no thing in them to feel empathy. So that's something that happens in childhood. And there's, we're talking about all the different reasons why that's happening. But no, they don't have any empathy. So I'm telling them to care. They don't have it in them. It's void. So that's why I say you need professionals for that thing, because the way you would deal with a normal person that has emotions, that they could feel empathy for like killing an animal, that's not there. And so I'm telling a person who's void of that they're going to go and need to change and that they should care that I'm in pain. No. That's a disorder. That's a disorder. So somebody going off oh God, there was this it's not a funny comment, but the comment, I was like, did somebody read my story and post this? When I was talking about the Eminem story about him throwing water on Kendra, okay? So he did an assault. But in the comment section, there was a comment, and I go, that's probably Eminem. I was like, I don't know. It's crazy. I talked about a story about this kid in school, and I was in like fourth grade maybe. Anyway, he was like, effing with me in class. He would sit behind me on the wall. They used to have the desk on the wall, and then I sat in the room, in front of the room. And he's behind me, and he was like taunting me. And then he's like, you know what? You would be hot if you were skinny. Like, he did this thing. And I was like, what the hell? And then he starts he's sharpening a pencil and he's talking to me like a monster. And I'm just like, what a weirdo. And he's sharpening it and he raises it like he's going to go and stab me. And then he like goes to try to stab me with it. And I was like, what the fuck? And then he gets it back to his leg and he stabs himself. And I was like, oh my God, what the hell? And so he ends up having to go, I think he had to go to the doctors because he was going to get like lead poisoning because like this huge like thing went into his leg. And then I was like, oh my God. So I was reading the comment section and some guy was posting something trying to kind of mock it, or I don't know, maybe that was really him. I don't know. Who knows? It's Eminem. He's like, some people, I like to stab people with pencils, but I realize, other people don't want to be stabbed with a pencil. Like they're making a point, like when you're being vindictive evil and you don't care about other people and you just enjoy stabbing people with pencils, but you don't care about another human. And he's like, and then I realized that other people don't like to be stabbed with pencils. It's so stupid, like the whole thing, but it related back to my story. But that's kind of the conduct of Eminem, that he's out stabbing everybody with pencils and he doesn't realize that other people are not into that. And then same with maybe Ellen DeGeneres. I was thinking more maybe her too, because I was like, she does things, but she doesn't like really realize that what she's doing upsets people. It reminded me of when I was younger. I was like, oh yeah, but I knew it was upsetting people. And I was like, that was like the thing about it. And so I was kind of putting that all together, But no, if I continued on being, that kid, to everybody and everything, oh yeah, then that means I didn't develop shit. And I don't care about other humans. And I'm just stabbing them all with pencils. And I don't give a shit that they're hurt. Harm to self and others. So that's an other. But I'm also harming myself because I can go to prison. So we're harming self and others. And we're just harming other people. But I have no care in the world that I have no empathy. I don't care, right? I have no connection to other humans. And then that goes into the mass shooter thing. The person that's capable of doing that has that same problem. So they don't connect with other people, so they can easily just go and do something like that. Because any other person, you could be the most depressed person in the world, but you still wouldn't go do that because it's just that you have some sort of connection to other people. You just have another issue going on. But yeah, it's crazy. I'm gonna end that here. I'm vindicated with that Depp shit and that other camp that I've been talking about. I said they have no credibility whatsoever, and of course they want to take me down. They want to take me down because the truth of them should have led you to pay attention that they were spinning the stories, and I was actually detailed how they do it to a T. And I was talking about how they'll take something and they'll make something up out of context. So that's like one thing they do. And then they'll just blatantly make shit up. Like they'll just it'll be something that they thought about doing to them, to the victim. And then they'll turn around and go, oh, the victim did that to me. Like they'll just make it up, like just flat out. And then I was showing some links that were to them. And for some reason, I guess that was the threat because that was the additional thing to the story. Besides my connection to the people he's working with. Yeah, so I found a lot of links to interviews that he did. And I go, wow, that's pretty relevant. I didn't know anything about him. Wow, that is interesting. What a sociopath. Yeah, it was pretty clear. Actually, it wasn't even in question. I was like, wow, I never knew that. I go, when I see him on TV, he has no personality. I was like, okay. I go, what a monster. But he can't. But I learned why he was a monster, too, in the story. So I was like, okay, this is a little fascinating because I didn't know that. It makes sense now why he's good friends with Marilyn. And Marilyn, we find out his background. I go, oh, that's why. I was like, that's why. Was trying to limit the information down so it skews your perception. Now they've done it to Britney Spears too. I was just like, okay, you want a knee jerk, you don't want to do a knee jerk reaction on this stuff, because I was kind of like, you will sometimes. They've even done it to Taylor Swift to the extent of her being overly annoying. It's kind of weird. Like, it's not her doing it. They're like, they should be as sweet as she is, and she answers, and oh God, you will hate her if you were to think that it's her, this thing about it. But if you look at it from afar to see who's doing it, it's the media, and they're trying to be vindictive, but in a weird way. It's hard to explain, like in a weird way. You know how it's like somebody has their favorite kid, and then they continually like keep, saying how great they are and everybody else is shitty. That's what they're doing with Taylor Swift. I go, oh, they need to stop, because then we will hate her. So it's the machine doing it. And I was like, oh my God. Yeah, see, you don't want to have this like massive like knee-jerk reaction sometimes, because sometimes, oh God, sometimes these stories are just like, what the hell? But the last straw was on this one on Britney, when they're like, she's dancing on here and she needs to be in an institution. But if she was actually doing the TikTok thing, she'd be fine by me. And I'm just like, what the hell did I just read? Yeah, it was crazy. I go, okay, I have to say something about that, because that's just too much. That's just too much. So imagine I would think that she knows that that is going on, but maybe she don't. Because you're just reading these stories, but it's meant to, I don't know. It's meant to paint these people in the worst light. Like the reason why they even run it, right? The reason why they even put this thing together. And I'm just looking at it going, I'm pissed off at it just generally, because that could be me. Because I feel like they're talking to me too, which you guys should. Because they're kind of saying, like, if you do something out of the norm and something that they don't like that you do, that you should be in an institution. I go, she's not even doing anything. It would be different if she's out harming people. I was like, then you're bringing up a serious problem. But that's not what happened. And I was just reading it, but then they were like okaying it if she did something that they wanted her to. And I'm like, that person has a mental problem. The person that wrote that. And that goes back to old white male supremacy, when they wanted to institutionalize women. It's actually still on the book. Like, men don't even realize that slavery came from women first. I was like, I'm tired of that shit. We could prove it and show you that they didn't start enslaving other people until they enslaved the woman first. But they look at it like, aren't we supposed to do that? Yeah, so you see their disorder in this whole thing. They normalize being a personality disordered human, harming a gender, and that to have them as a slave, and then turns around and enslaves a bunch of other people, the narcissists, in that. So let's just sit with the dumb class. Okay. Yeah, so anyway, this case, yes, I'm glad it came forward and that it's going forward, because their conduct is so bad in here. He just deserves it anyway. So, that's just where I feel about this. Yeah, and they're making a mockery. Beyonce's just a groomed woman. She is. She's been groomed since she's a kid. And you're just seeing the conduct of a groomed woman. That's really what it is, because she's like, you made me into a woman. I'm like, I would hope that I make myself into the great woman that I am, and not from some guy. But for some reason, that's the manipulation. Women need to be raised by some guy to tell her how she needs to be, and that's how she is, and she's bonkers going on like that.